recommended to me by my grandmother. She and I both really enjoy reading historical fiction, which I think for me is kind of a new thing actually, which is surprising since I teach history, but and it's about the Holocaust. And so as a history teacher, and the Holocaust is something I've always been really interested in, she had asked me a while ago if I'd read it, and finally this spring I was able to sit down and read it. So if you're interested in the Holocaust, if you are interested in specifically historical fiction, if you're interested in just a good story, I would recommend it. It is heart-wrenching, but I think overall it has a really positive message. So even though it's kind of hard to read at times, the story itself is really a story of someone being good and doing good. So the passage that I chose to read for you guys is from very early in the book. And the main character is an architect. And he goes to meet with a client. And this is in the middle of the war. And France is under Nazi control. So on his way to go to the meeting, there are, Gestapo out and SS out, and all the different, Nazi soldiers are out and about. And so that's kind of a whole part of it, is you get to see that aspect. But then his meeting really takes a very interesting turn because of what this man asks him to do. And prior to where I'm going to pick up with it, they're talking about the Jews that have been taken from their homes and how some of them are choosing to commit suicide rather than go into, camps or wherever they are going to be taken. So that's what they've just finished talking about, and that's where I'm going to pick up. Monsieur Bernard, Gaston has known you for a long time. He says you are a man of great integrity and honor, a man who loves his country and keeps his word, said Manet. Lucienne was now completely confused. What in the hell was this man talking about? Gaston really didn't know him at all, only on a professional level. They weren't friends. Gaston had no idea what kind of man Lucienne truly was. He could have been a murderer or a male prostitute, and Gaston would never have known. Manet walked over to one of the huge windows that overlooked the Rue Galilée and stared out into the street for a few moments. He finally turned and faced Lucienne, who was surprised by the now grave expression on the old man's face. Monsieur Bernard, this alteration is to create a hiding place for a Jewish man who is being hunted by the Gestapo. If by chance they come here looking for him, I'd like him to be able to hide in a space that is undetectable, one that the Gestapo will never find. For your own safety, I won't tell you his name, but the Reich wants to arrest him to find out the whereabouts of his fortune, which is considerable. Lucienne was dumbfounded. Are you insane? You're hiding a Jew? Normally, Lucienne would never speak so rudely to a client, especially an enormously rich one. But Manet had crossed into forbidden territory here. Aiding Jews? The Germans called it Judenbegenstum. No matter how wealthy he was, Manet could be arrested and executed for hiding Jews. It was the one crime a Frenchman couldn't buy his way out of. Wearing some dumb yellow star out of sympathy was one thing, but actually helping a Jew wanted by the Gestapo was sheer madness. What the hell had Lucien gotten himself into? Or rather, what had that bastard Gaston got him into? Manet had set some set of balls to ask him to do this for 12,000 or even 12 million francs. You're asking me to commit suicide. You know that, don't you? Indeed I do, said Manet, and I'm also committing suicide. So as the story continues, you really see Lucien struggle with this decision, and I don't think I'm giving it away by saying that he ultimately decides to help this man hide Jews, and I think really finds some peace in doing that, and accepts the fact that even though he's putting himself in grave danger, ultimately he's doing the right thing for this population who's being persecuted and murdered by the millions. So that's Paris Architect. If you're interested, pick it up. I don't know if it's in the media center, but I'm going to ask and see if it is. That's it. Sorry about the bad language.
Sure, they're really